On. That's very cool. I can read your names. Oh, I like your name. It's a little bit different, but you know what my name is?
Matteson.
Yeah, Mr. Matteson. So I'll remember her name, although mine's spelled differently, but that's how you pronounce it. Do you know what we're doing here today? Did they tell you?
We're going to close about writing.
Did you forget? It is about writing, so that one's about writing. But, you know, I mean, what kind of a piece do you have? Do you have a narrative? Do you have an informational piece? Or do you have an opinion piece? A narrative? Yeah, that's what I thought we'd be working on today. So, is this a finished piece? You brought it all the way through? Okay, that sounds good. And what we're going to do today is this is just a time to see, you know, what kind of skills that we have in our paper, and maybe what kind of skills we need to be thinking about. So, I've got this checklist that I want us to use. And what I'd like you to do right now is we're just going to be working on the first trimester, that first set. Could you just take a few minutes right now and read the skills that are down there? And let's talk about them before we start looking at our writing. Okay, just the first trimester. Okay, Paul, you got it. All right, what do you think about those skills? What do you think about them? They look on the surface. They look okay. They look easy. Do they look hard? What do you think? They look easy. Okay, so you think? Let's make a prediction. Well, let me put this way. Do you think which one or ones do you think you might not have in there, or which ones do you think might be the harder ones for you? Okay, what's that say? Read that one for me.
Using descriptive words.
All right, so using descriptive words. So you're thinking that we might find that might be missing a little bit in your paper. All right, what I'd like you to do is put a star next to that one. Right? Yep. Does anybody else have one that they think their paper might? Yes. The descriptive words too? Okay, so you're thinking the same thing. Do you know what descriptive words are? Do you know what adjectives and adverbs are and things like that? Can you give me an example of a descriptive word? Okay, red. So colors are going to be descriptive. Anything else?
Age.
Okay, all right. How many? Right, okay. But I guess the other key word is too, I left it out of that one, but if you go down, it should say higher level. I just saw a mistake in there. So, well, maybe not. Never mind, forget it. All right, so using descriptive language. Okay. Anybody else think something besides descriptive words is going to be a problem? What do you think, Devin? You don't know? You're not sure? You think you're going to be okay on all of them, or you're just not sure?
I have two adjectives because that's what we were told to do, but other than that.
Okay. You think you're all set? Okay. And Paul, what do you think? You think you're going to be all set? Okay, well, let's start it. The first one talks about, what's the first one talk about?
It talks about your 3 paragraphs.
You have 3 paragraphs, beginning, middle, and end. So I want you to look at your piece right now. What are you going to be looking for to give yourself credit for that? Yes?
The indents.
You're going to look at the indents on that? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody, can you count 3 indents in there pretty easily? Okay. And then if we are really reading, we'd probably look to see if you have a pretty good beginning one that sets up your beginning. Do you know what needs to be in the beginning, in your beginning paragraph? Yes?
Your topic sentence.
Your topic sentence? What's in a topic sentence?
Telling you what the story's going to be about.
Okay, kind of telling what the story's going to be about, telling about kind of the character and the setting and stuff like that in the beginning. Okay, so everybody think they have three pretty good paragraphs. Everybody feels good about that? You're gonna give yourself a check mark for that? Okay, and that little line before, why don't you just put a check mark if you're feeling good about that? All right, what's the next one say, Paul? Let's do the next one.
Includes 2 different types of sentences.
All right, so we gotta have two different kinds of sentences, types of sentences. So what are two different types of sentences?
Simile?
Say it again.
Simile?
Well, you use a simile in a sentence, but but I wonder what two different types of sentences would be. Yes.
Question sentence?
All right, so there'd be a question. Yeah, that is a sentence, but I'm thinking about something else. What else do you know about different types of sentences?
Dialogue?
Yeah, dialogue isn't dialogue can be a sentence. Yes, it can be a sentence, but it's not a different type necessarily. Right off the bat, I'm thinking about, do you know about simple sentences? Yeah, what's a simple sentence? Yeah, it's just a sentence. It's got, it's like, I went to the store, right? It's got, a noun, a verb, right, a subject, things like that. What if, then how about this? Did you ever hear of a compound? That rocket science word. A compound sentence. A compound sentence usually, is kind of uses words like and or but, right? It's kind of joining a couple of sentences together, right? I went to the store and got some candy. Does that make sense? Compound. And then the last one is, there are three, a complex sentence. What do you think a complex sentence is? Yeah, well, that's where, it's not that simple sentence, right? I went to the store and got some candy, right? We might take and, change it around to the store, I have to think of one good one. Let me show you. See that example? Like this one right here. After I played a quick game, I went to the store. That's kind of a complex. Instead of going, I went to the store after I played a quick game, that's kind of a simple sentence, right? You can change the sentence around and make a more complex one. Does that make sense to you? Mm-hmm. All right, so what I want you to do, in the first paragraph, I want you to see, do you have a simple sentence or do you have a compound sentence? Why don't we start with those two right now? Let's see if you have a simple sentence and a compound sentence. And I want you to give me an example. Just your first paragraph. All right. What are people thinking? Do you have different sentences, or are your sentences kind of the same? They are kind of the same, yeah. You have one sentence that isn't the same. Which one isn't the same? Or you actually have a couple. You used dialogue, didn't you? A couple, but your sentences really are about, I got this, I did this, aren't they? Mm-hmm. Does anybody else? How are your sentences?
Most of them have exclamation points.
They do have, how do they start out? Do most of them start the same way? They kind of do start the same way. So I think you probably, that's something that you could work on, right? Is really thinking about having different kinds of sentences. How about you, Paul? What do you have for sentences? You don't have the same? Do you want to read a couple of your sentences?
When I found out that we had no school, I was so excited. I put on my snow gear and jumped in the snow again and made some snow angels.
Okay, keep reading.
Then the second thing I did was to make a snowman first. You make a little ball of snow, then you start rolling it around and make a big. Do the same thing, but make the other ball, but make it a little smaller.
Okay. So do you feel like you have a variety of sentences there? Do you think you have more than one? Okay. How about you? How were your sentences?
I think they're almost the same because most of them start with I.
Okay, all right. So I guess I wonder, so when you think about this one, is this one that you think you can check off? Or do you think you need to spend a little bit more time thinking about, how your sentences start and or using different kinds of sentences? What do you think? Devin, what do you think? Okay, all right. So you're not going to check that one off? Okay, what about you, Madison?
No, I don't think I have like the same.
Okay, all right. So you think you could go back to your classroom at some point and change some of those around? Mm-hmm. What do you think, Katie?
It's like half
You think you're okay? You gonna check that off? Okay. How about you, Paul? Did you check that one off? You gonna check that one off? Okay. All right. All right. I think what's gonna end up happening is you're all gonna probably walk away with some things that you need to check on, right? So, all right. What's the next one? What's the third bullet? Yeah, Paul.
Include more than one chapter in the story.
All right. So be careful of that word. Read it again. Look at that word. Be careful of the words.
Includes more than one chapter in the story.
All right. I'm looking at the word chapter. Look closer at it.
Character.
Yeah. It starts just like that. Okay. So includes more than one character in the story. So what do you think about that? Does read your piece right now and tell me how many characters you have in your story. And do you have more than one? Do you have more than one? Do you have more than one, Paul? Devin, do you have more than one? Or just one?
No, if you don't count the friends.
Okay. Well, this is interesting because if you have a character, they both have to say something. Do your characters both? If they don't say something, then it's not a character. So,
Then you only have one.
do you have more than one? Madison, what about you? You only have one. You have two. They both are talking. Who are your two characters? Everybody talk about who are your characters. Okay, so you and your mom. Who are your characters in there? You and your mom, Paul. Who are your characters in there? Okay, is everybody talking? Does everybody have a little dialogue? Okay, sounds good. Madison, what's the next bullet? So did everybody put a check there or not a check? Who's gonna put a check? Everybody good? Okay. Yeah. Erase the other one. That's right. Okay. Madison, you're not gonna give yourself a check? Okay. And it might just be that the story just had one character, right? And the next time the next story might have two, right? It's not a big deal, is it? Okay. Madison, will you read the next one for me?
Using two descriptive words, at least 3 adjectives and adverbs in each paragraph.
Okay, so right now, will you do me a favor? Will you go through your first paragraph, and will you draw a circle around 3 descriptive words, right? Adjectives and adverbs. See if you can find them. So you have to have how many circles? Yes, in the first paragraph. Yep, we'll just check the first one. Remember, you could have colors, you could have texture, you could have... I'm not sure about this one. Why don't you look and see if you can find a couple more, just to be on the safe side. All right. Do you want to go to your second look? See if you can find your second. What do you use a lot of? What kind of descriptive words do you use? A lot of everybody get a chance to find descriptive words? All right.
I found one first.
Okay, you found one. All right, is that enough? Okay. So is that something you can check? Are you going to check that off on your list? If you only have one? No. Okay. Did you find some? What did you find?
I found white, clear, and the number of weeks.
Okay. Okay. So you use a lot of color words. You're going to check it off? Okay. I think so. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to check. You can check it off, but at the end of that, I want you to write down. I want you to think about different kinds of descriptive words besides color. That's what I think you need to work on, right? Okay. How about you, Matteson?
I have 2 in one paragraph.
Okay. All right. Did you go past the first paragraph to see if you had more? Do you think you should, I guess that you think you can check this off, or do you think you should not check it off? Okay. Read me some of your descriptive words.
I got off my drab form.
Okay, the word drab, that's a pretty good word, isn't it?
Next, I screamed out the door going crazy style.
Okay, crazy style. Okay. So you're going to check off the descriptive words, and she's got to put examples of some other kinds of descriptive words you could use, right? You're going to check that off. Paul, how about you?
Excited, white.
Okay. Excited, white, and blue. The same thing. Are you going to check it off on your sheet? Yeah. And so here's the other thing I'd like you to find. Write down at the end of that sentence. I want you to write down. You know, what did you write? What did you write down for yours? Use different adjectives and then colors. Can you do the same thing, Paul? I want you to push yourself a little bit, right, when you're describing things, and maybe think about. Tell me one of yours again. One of your descriptive words.
I got off my drab.
Drab. That's a pretty good word, isn't it? Sounds like a 4th grade word, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay. How about you, Katie? How'd you do with your descriptive words?
I went into my sister's screaming.
Okay. Is that it? All right. All right. So do you think that's enough? Okay, so you're not going to check that one off? Okay. Here's the other thing I want you to write down. I want you to do something besides colors too. Will you write that down at the end here? Find some other descriptive words other than color. Why do you think I'm saying that about colors? Yeah. Why do you think I'm saying that? Maybe you should find other kind of words besides colors.
That way you can find which words you like to use better.
Yeah. What else? If everything's always about color, it's not. What were you going to say, Matteson?
Everything's about color, then when the reader might want how big or
Yeah.
other descriptive.
Yeah, they might want to see other kinds of things. They might want to, besides just the color of everything, right? They might want to be able to, see something else or hear about something else, right? I think that's good. Okay, I think we can stop right here. How about the next one? This is a quick one. Includes 2 similes. How many think they use similes in there? I know some people said right off the bat they have some similes. Everybody think they have 2 similes? You could check that one off. Paul, how about you? Do you have similes in your paper? And how about dialogue? Everybody think they have at least one piece of dialogue? Okay, so I think you can see the dialogue. Yep. And what's the last one say?
Adds on or takes away.
And we don't know because this is a finished piece, right? But how are you at both adding on or taking away from your piece, your draft? Are you really good at that? Anybody not good at? Okay, so you're not going to check it off, maybe? Okay. How about you, Matteson? Are you good at adding and taking away? Okay. So before you leave, what are you going to work on? What do you think you need to work on or think about? And your different types of sentences. I think that's a hard thing, isn't it? Okay. What about you, Matteson? All right. So think about that one, and that just might be your story. So what's the other one that you haven't checked off? All right, so another thing that we have to think about, what are the different types of sentences, right? How about you, Paul? Okay, so so that's, you think that's gonna help your writing if you're using different, you know, some different adjectives and adverbs, especially thinking about other things that are not just colors? Okay, all right. Did I ask you? What are you gonna work on? Okay, I think that'll make a big difference in your papers if you're using descriptive words. Okay, you guys were great. You ready to go back? Okay, I'm done with you.